Nicola Sturgeon, 6 people indoors or out. It looks very much like England, but it's not because of the two household situation. So it's much tougher, isn't it?
This is tough. It's a tough measure on a tough day. We are concerned about the risks of transmission between households. The more households you have gathering together indoors, the greater that risk. Look, this is a really precarious position Scotland, the UK, much of Europe is in right now. On the one hand, we're in a much better position than we were March, April. Prevalence is much lower, cases are not rising as fast. We've got Test and Protect, we've got our new tracing app that just launched today. Everybody has worked really hard to try to get us into a better position. But cases are rising again, and although we're not yet seeing a rise in people in hospital and people dying, we worry that if we don't stem the tide, that could happen. So this is a moment just to take a pause, tighten up things a little bit. I know we're asking people to make more sacrifices, but it's all in the interest of just trying to ensure this thing doesn't run away from us again.
The fact that the numbers are going up suggests that you've just not got your message across. You've already tried more of a domestic lockdown in Glasgow in the west of Scotland, but that clearly hasn't got the numbers down yet either.
I genuinely don't think that's the case. In Glasgow and the west of Scotland, it's too early to know whether those restrictions are working because this virus has an incubation period and they go further than today. Look, this is always a difficult thing to almost prove a negative. We're in a much stronger position. If we didn't have people doing all the things they're doing, if we didn't have Test and Protect, the virus would be spreading much further and faster right now, and we'd be having to impose even more strict measures. And we've got to remember that as we came out of lockdown, and we are substantially out of lockdown in many ways, the virus gets chances to spread again. So we were always likely to see an increase in cases, and that means we've got to tweak things sometimes, and I know that makes it sound less hard than it is, to keep it under control so that it doesn't run away from us again.
But you know you're telling people a message that they don't want to hear. You acknowledge that in your statement today, and it's going to be difficult to get that across, isn't it?
From the word go, I have been acutely aware that the things I'm asking people to do are not popular. None of us want to be living with a global pandemic. It's an accelerating pandemic internationally, but I've also, from the word go, been thoroughly impressed, humbled even, by the way in which the public have known and responded to the need to do things that are hard for people individually, but that are all about keeping us safe collectively. You've
got a new app today. Do you think that they will download that? Do you have a target for downloads for that to make it work?
We don't have a target to make it work. Every person
Why not?
Well, because every person that signs up to it helps. The more people who sign up to it, the more effective it will be. We've had more than 350,000 people sign up to it today. I would encourage everybody watching that to go to protect.scot, onto the Apple or the Google Play app stores, download the app. It's a simple but really powerful thing we can all do to help us fight this battle, and I would appeal to everybody to make sure they've got it on their phones.
We just heard Jason Leach describing the tests as a bit rubbish. That's not helpful for you, is it?
I haven't heard the comments, but I think I probably know what Jason meant. And, you know, Jason's not a politician. He may have used language that I wouldn't have used. But what he means is it's not an absolutely perfect test. No test is. But it is highly specific, highly sensitive. If you've got symptoms, you should go and get tested, because the more of this virus we can identify, the more people we can then have isolating, the more we can break these chains of transmission.